We're live.
Hello, world. Final day from Radio Row in New Orleans. We're out here at the Super Bowl, and holy cow, is it a packed show. These two people that are with me today, they are monsters. We'll hear from Dez Bryant, Pat McAfee, Ashton Jeanty, Micah Parsons, all sorts of things. And let's see if we can't find some optimism today. We're 0 for 4. We're going for it today. It starts. Meow. All right, we're really excited. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a big standing ovation going on for our final show at Radio Row. It's definitely not for Pat McAfee's show, which is 12 feet to our left. It's definitely for us. You're welcome for us being here. It's the DLLS Cowboys podcast, and we are jam-packed today because Pop and Tell 'em Something Joe are monsters at gathering things for you. So please, to thank them, hit the like and subscribe button while you're here. How about that? I've been trying to peddle optimism for 4 days. I've fallen on my face. Maybe we'll get it right today. My name is Jeff. Next to me is a man whose nickname is definitely not Pop. What? You want some more? Yeah, Kevin, no. A guy whose nickname is definitely not Pop, because that's for people who are old, and he's a young, spry man, the great Clarence Hill.
I'm Pop.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Listen.
John, dirty work.
First of all,
nasty work.
First of all, Bill Belichick.
Oh,
First of all, Bill Belichick.
Let's open the show.
He's Pop, okay? He's Cat Daddy. Did you see what he had on his arm at the NFL Armor?
Yeah, he was
Honors. Bad chick on my arm, no chick on your arm.
How old is she?
On my arm.
On your arm.
How old is he?
22. He's 80. I don't know, 70-something.
He's a lot older than her.
Do you think that he is actually?
And he.
You think he's blue chew? Anyway, hold on, Clarence. Hold on, Clarence. Next to him is the greatest beat writer in the history of the Cowboys, Joe Hoyt.
Tell him something, Joe.
I'll tell you something.
Right,
He's
ahead.
definitely blue chewing.
And he.
Or just not, maybe just kind of hanging out.
He's the GOAT.
And I just think he owned the NFL. Like, he's a college coach. Why is he here? I don't know. College coach. He had all his Super Bowl rings on. She had a ring on. She didn't have much else on.
No. It's almost like he has an ego or something.
Clarence, you're not going to shake the pop thing with your take here, because Clarence is like, if I was at the house, I'd be like, we don't need to put a little more on.
I just, you know,
Tell him something, Joe.
I'm old.
Tell him something.
Old school. How about that? I'm old school. You got to have. I mean, you got to have something on. But you know what they say? If you catch them like that, that's how they.
Is that what they say?
What?
Yeah.
What do they say?
Is that what they say?
In the chat, what do they say?
What did I say?
If you catch them wearing that, they're going to always wear that. Okay. I'm just saying.
Okay.
To church?
You know, when you go out to the club, you meet a chick, she has nothing on, you start dating her.
I don't.
And expect her not to actually now put clothes on.
No, I don't be clurbing.
Yeah, okay.
I don't be clurbing.
Is she going to wear that to church? That's my question.
All right. You think they're going to church?
Yeah.
I go to dive bars, and my ideal woman is probably wearing a hoodie. So, Bill and we're not chasing the same thing.
No,
be
that's
good.
okay.
Okay, who's ready? Who's ready for Cowboys optimism today? I don't know if I'll be able to see the chat because internet here is not great, but I'm going to try my best, and I love you guys. I've been trying to peddle optimism. I think I've done a great job of it all week.
Well,
you just can't start a show with Clarence here. What do you need?
the best optimism.
Yeah, they hired
The
a
Cowboys
guy.
make another coaching hire.
They
That's
hired
right.
a guy.
Guy that people like.
They hired a guy.
Yeah, I can confirm they're hiring the K-State.
Yeah, what's his name? Clarence?
K-State
Riley.
offensive line coach
Connor Riley.
Yeah, there we go.
who coached Cooper Beebe up in college.
Not just Cooper Beebe. Does
But-
this mean Deuce Vaughn breakout's coming?
I'm
Oh,
glad
my
you
God.
said that, though, because Deuce Vaughn's success also was in part to Connor Riley. Connor Riley, I did a story last year on Deuce Vaughn. I did one on Cooper Beebe. Both times, people at Kansas State went out of their way to tell me Connor Riley is that dude. Yeah. I think this is another good hire for the Rams.
Yeah, and it's getting rave reviews. And
Deuce
listen,
Vaughn
you can
says
say
that.
what you want about the ho-hum hire of Brian Schottenheimer, but the staff he's putting together, what he's putting together.
Seems good.
You know, to go with Clayton Adams.
Seems good.
It's a good staff.
No.
It's a solid staff. And so
Unless they don't play well, then they hire terrible coaches.
So there's your optimism that they're at least trying to put a staff together. And it's not just about friends. You know, Mike McCarthy hired his buddies and his cronies and whatever else.
His cronies.
No, I mean, seriously, he hired cronies, buddies and cronies and guys, you know. These guys.
Lions, Tigers, and Bears, buddies and cronies.
I mean, they're going out. They're going outside the box, especially with some of these offensive coaching hires.
It's weird because you say like the cronies and all that. Is it weird? I don't know if this is actually weird. But you look at, like, I think one of the most toxic things about the Cowboys organization is that it's very friends and family driven, right? Like their family owns it. And I got to get this out there. Everything that I say about Jerry Jones is negative.
Yeah.
I would probably do the exact same thing. If I owned a football team, you better believe my friend, one of my buddies, would be running the marketing department.
What role is he getting?
Clarence would run PR.
PR.
Yeah,
PR.
Clarence would be.
Watch out, Tad.
Clarence would be Tad. So, like, when a press conference is getting ready to start, if Clarence wants to ask a question, he can.
There you go.
And he can also tell anybody he wants to shut the. He can do whatever. Clarence would be running things.
There you go.
Calvin still goes first.
So, like, it's very friends and family driven, but also there's the side of me that I demand my head coach be able to hire his staff.
Right.
Yeah.
But then they hire friends and family. I'm like, okay, maybe you're not allowed to hire your staff. Maybe someone else needs it. I just want Will McClay to do everything.
Yes.
That's what I want. Let him do everything. But I don't know if we're going to get that.
You know, it's interesting. You start the show out and you look for optimism. We give you some optimism.
We found some.
But at the Super Bowl, there's not many people who have good things to say about the Cowboys.
Okay, well, you know what? Maybe they just don't know what they're talking about.
And Jerry, and I don't want to get you on a rant.
We're going to start with Jerry.
I don't want to get you on a rant.
What do you mean you don't want to get him
I
on a
don't want
rant?
you to get on a rant.
I would never rant.
But
I'm trying to
the
make sure I have a credential.
people don't have a lot of good things to say about the Cowboys because Jerry continues to talk, and he talked last night.
Jerry, tell me about Brian Schottenheimer and what you thought about him that made him be the guy for you.
First of all, his lineage. We called it osmosis, sitting around the breakfast table. He made if you will, a young lifetime out of asking his father to help him be around organizations so he could learn as much football as he possibly could. So he's no accident, but he's actually had a lot of experience to be a first-time head coach. I thought we could bet on that. He's, of course, favored in the locker room in terms of the players supporting him and wanting him to be our coach. So all of that's good, gives us some continuity, but lets us have a new shot at it.
How far away do you think the Dallas Cowboys are from being able to compete to be here playing in this game?
Well, the decisions I'm making are not based on rebuilding. They're based on competing and competing now. Decisions I made last year were based on competing now. Now, they didn't exactly work out, but I think I paid Dak more than anybody's ever been paid in the NFL. That's now. That's not the future. So we're excited about our team's ability to compete right now.
All right. I'm not doing it. Y'all not going
You're not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. How are y'all doing?
You know.
I'm going to take optimism out of that, guys. You're welcome. You're all welcome. I'm going to take optimism out of that. He said that everything that they're doing is to win now and compete now, and I think that's great. It means they're going to sign free agents, and we're going to go after this thing. I didn't hear anything negative in that whole quote. Nothing negative.
Yeah, because he said they're going to do the same thing they did last year.
Oh, yeah.
He did the same thing they did last year. They were not all in last year. They're all in now. Paying your own guys like, hey, honey, I'm getting you a present for Valentine's Day. You're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, I'm giving you a birthday present. Yeah. You're supposed to do that. Hey, honey, I'm getting you an anniversary gift. You're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Now, what are you going to add on top of that? You're supposed to pay your quarterback. You're supposed to take care of your own guys.
I can't believe the way you're talking to them right now.
I was going to say chill rant?
A lot of hate.
Keep going. Go.
Yeah, go
No,
ahead.
I'm just saying this is what you're supposed to do. You don't get credit for doing what you're supposed to do. Every team in the league is paying their quarterback. Hey, you know what? The Eagles paid their quarterback.
They did.
And then they got Saquon
And
Barkley.
Right,
Zach Bond.
and then they added to it.
Yeah.
You know, you added to it. That's what all in means. You were not all in last year. And if that's the focus coming into the season, yes, we're going to pay Micah. So that's an example of being all in. That's not all in. That's paying your own guys. What are you adding to it? What are you contributing to what you did with Dak, what you did with CD, what you did with Micah to put you over the top.
You know what he's contributing?
That's fire. I think that counts as a rant.
That does count as a rant.
I think that counts.
Tell him something. Chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Oh,
not.
yeah. Oh, come on.
But it's not.
Go.
Come on.
No, I'm not going to come on because it's not just us. It's everybody else. And we talked about what there's no optimism here. You talked about Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Right over there, okay?
Yeah. All
Pat
the people are.
you know,
It's weird that everybody's here to watch our show, and he's just over there and nobody cares.
Everybody went to watch
Sorry,
Pat
Pat.
McAfee.
What?
But we got Pat McAfee ourselves.
Yeah, we did.
He has an opinion on the Cowboys.
Everywhere you went, there's people that believed in the star. Everywhere you went, the biggest business was always the Dallas Cowboys business. I mean, sports media, we all see it. You talk about the Cowboys. Why do they talk about the Cowboys? Because the most amount of people watch whenever the Cowboys are being talked about. Like, that's like the TV science is what they say behind the scenes. So everything that Jerry's built, everything the Cowboys have become is certainly a absolute marvel whenever it comes to business-wise and branding-wise and everything like that. But I think there's some shit that's potentially holding them back. Yes. You know, I think there's some shit. You know, like the tours around the facility, whenever they're practicing or whenever they're working out, like that just seems counterproductive. That just feels like it is a little counterproductive. Now, it's obviously different to be a Cowboy. There's going to be a lot of distractions. You're going to be on prime time all the time. But just like random people walking through a building while you're trying to work is wild to me to think about. But I know it brings in $11 million a year. Okay, so that's going to help the valuation and the business of it all. I just think there's like things like that I didn't know could happen in an NFL building, but I guess they are.
I really enjoy that he did end up explaining it, but I wish he hadn't gone into any details about the stuff. I wish he'd have just been like, but you know, there's some shit.
Yeah. No, we got one.
You know? No, I was using next week's. So we don't have any S's until Thursday.
Between him and Chris Sims, we have no S's until Timbuktu. Okay?
Yeah, we're off on the S's for a little while. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows the same thing. I'm just my sincerest hope is that Jerry is exhausted of everybody saying the same thing about him. Because Jerry's always been polarizing, and people have been negative, and people have been like, you shouldn't be the GM, the owner should fire the GM. Like, that's always been there. But, boy, now that you're sitting out here on this stage on Radio Row and the number of players, former players, every talk show host, it's unanimous, just shining a giant spotlight on what's always been. And I hope it pisses him off. And he's like, look, we gotta go. We gotta go for it. And I don't know. I don't know if they will. Part of me just thinks, like, I hate that he always brings up the Dak thing. Do you know why Dak is the highest paid quarterback in the league in the history of the NFL? Because of you, brother.
Right.
Yeah. And
you didn't get stuff done twice with your quarterback. So, like, there does come a year. Last year or actually, I guess this year is the first year of the extension, right? So, like, this year, yes, you can still move a bunch of money around, but you do have to account for a pretty big number for Dak because of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're the first guy to ever sign a quarterback at the last second twice, which means you actually had to eat the void year at the end, and now you've got another one that'll be looming later. Like, you did that. Stop telling me that and that doesn't count as like we're all in and we're trying to do our best. We're getting better because we kept people we already had. That's not what we do. In the offseason, we're going to talk about how did the Cowboys get better. And when your answer to us is going to be, I have Dak, we paid Micah Parsons, we brought back, and this might not happen, but we brought back Jordan Lewis and Osa. That's pretty good free agency. No, it's not. It's running back the same product that didn't work.
Right.
But you know what's funny, too, and it
better
be
be
funny. I was talking, and I think he's cool with this. I was talking with RJ Ochoa from Blogging the Boys yesterday.
Nice man.
Great dude. And you know what their highest rated story recently has been? Was the Will Hernandez story about Clayton Adams, right? That means that people are excited about Clayton Adams, and they're excited about the possibility of Will Hernandez coming here. I don't think you even need to go all in to, like, reset this franchise. I don't think you need to go get Saquon Barkley or do these things or make these crazy trades. I think if you just did a little bit, this Cowboys fan base would be thrilled, and they haven't done it.
They will be thrilled, but it's not about thrilling the fan base. It's about winning on the field. It's about winning on the field. It's one thing for Pat McAfee to talk about it.
Dude, watch him set up the next audio. You're quarterbacking today. I love it. Go ahead.
It's one thing for Pat McAfee and everybody outside to talk about it. But people that are beholden to Jerry also saying the same thing. Like Dez Bryant.
You're on one today.
I know Jerry took care of you, and you're in his corner. But how much is this on Jerry?
and I'm not winning 30 years now. They have not been to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, longest streak in the league. Everybody in the NFC, the Washington, showed up this year and went to the championship game. They changed owners, they changed coaches, they changed GMs, they get a new quarterback. They're in the championship game. How much is this on Jerry?
I mean, I think it's on Jerry because he's the leader.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure he got other people in place to make these decisions, but it is on him, like I said, because he is the leader. I think Jerry got to get out of his comfort zone. He got to get out of his comfort zone and really go make those necessary changes. Like I said, I don't know how to pronounce the head coach's name.
Schottenheimer.
I call him Shotty.
Right.
You can tell me that a million times, I'm gonna call him Shotty.
Right, that's what everybody calls him, Shotty.
So
but that was comfort.
Yeah, that was a comfort move, and I don't think Jerry got to understand all of the comfort moves that have cost him in the past.
I first want to thank Dez for saying what I also believe. If you have too many syllables, I'm definitely going to call you by a nickname. We're not going to say Schottenheimer. That's too Schottenheimer. It's like 4 syllables is too many. You're going to be Shotty. You're going to be Shotty. Yeah. Jerry's a super comfort guy. And I would also like Jerry to get uncomfortable, get a little risk, take a little risk. So I appreciate Dez Bryant. Appreciate you, Dez. You're a sweet man. Coming up next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast, we've got other people that we caught up with out here, including Micah Parsons and Dan Orlovsky. Micah's things are interesting, and Dan's are ways that Brian Schottenheimer's got to do things out here, and we're going to do all that next.
If there's one thing I'm really bad at, it's trying to figure out what my next meal is, and I always wait till the last minute, right? Well, with our friends at HelloFresh, you don't need to do that. Are you tired of trying to figure that out? Well, you can get it done the easy way with HelloFresh. They have these ready-made meals that you can go from the fridge to your fork. I love that wording. In just 3 minutes. 3 minutes. They're fantastic. For me personally, I think the ability just to have that in the fridge and just do it, that creates a lot of just comfort, and I don't even have to worry about what's on the menu because guess what? It's already in the fridge. HelloFresh is the best. You get up to 10 free meals and a free high-protein item for life at HelloFresh.com. Just use the code DLLS, I think.
Go with it.
I think it's DLLS.
Yeah, go with it.
And you get 1 item per box with an active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only. It varies by plan. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com and use our code. It will be in the description. Use it.
Yeah, use that one. Shout out to our friends at Lucy. Lucy!
I'm home.
I'm going home today, and Lucy is waiting for me. What is Lucy? It is nicotine pouches, gums, breakers. They've got one that's called a breaker that's badass. The breakers are nicotine pouches that have a little extra surprise for you. Each pouch has a capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. Now, for me personally, I am very happy about this because for about a few years now, I've been trying to kick a tobacco habit. This is 100% pure nicotine, tobacco-free, and so I'm gonna take a crack at it, Lucy. Me and you, baby. Me and you, Lucy. We're gonna get this done. You can set up a subscription and have Lucy delivered straight to your door. All sorts of different flavors, gum, breakers, pouches, all those things. Level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Lucy.co/DLLS. Promo code DLLS, and you get 20% off your first order. 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Shout out to our guys at Lucy.
Her name was Lucy.
You're not supposed to keep talking about the commercial coming out of the commercial. It looks weird if we're on TV, which we're going to be when we come out of the break, and you're just going, Lucy, Lucy.
Can we give Chill some credit, though? He was quarterbacking that first segment.
He crushed it, dude.
He did. He was like layup,
He crushed.
Good job. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, man. Thank you, guys.
You guys want to do the Micah Parsons stuff or the Dan Orlovsky stuff first? What do you think? Quarterback, we're running this shit today.
Yeah, you run this.
You want Micah or you want Orlovsky?
Well, let's just piggyback on the last segment. We talked about Shotty and the hire he made, and you got Dan talking a little about the Cowboys coaching hire and the Cowboys and what they need to do to be successful.
Absolutely killing it.
Okay. Yep, sorry. That was my bad. Yeah, whichever one it sounds like he wanted.
It was Orlovsky.
Going back to what he did with the Jets, modernize the Cowboys offense.
Well, it's the era that we're in the NFL right now. Everyone talks about like Ben Johnson and Shanahan and LaFleur and Kevin O'Connell. Those are run-centric coaches. I've often said, I played under Sean, they're the great illusionists. You know, they make you think one thing and they do the other thing. And so I think the ability to run if you just look at the teams in the playoffs, I think the 14 teams there in the playoffs, 11 were the best rushing teams in ball. So like running the football is back in the NFL, and you have to be able to do it. And so I'm do I think that style is a mandate or a necessary? If you don't have Patrick, I think it's a necessary in this league.
Yeah. I wasn't excited about the coaching hire, no matter who got hired, because of the process.
Yeah,
and the process stinks.
The roster's not awesome.
Right.
They need somebody outside of CD. I actually like Dowdle. I think Dowdle's got a chance to be a good little back. I think the offensive line's going to be good. They need somebody obviously at CD, but they also need a lot more talent defensively for them to compete.
I don't know. Ian Rappaport said that they got 15 guys that would start for any team in the league.
15.
As long as he thinks the number 15 and the number 3 are the same number, he's right.
I can't math.
The Cowboys got to be able to run the ball. They've got to get back to, and I do think Clayton Adams, and if you want me to remember Kansas State guy's name,
Connor Riley.
Yeah, Connor Riley. I do think that just universally it seems people give a stamp of approval on both of those hires. I think it'll be good to get back to being able to run the ball. What'll be interesting to me? It'll be interesting.
And you add in the running back coach.
He didn't even know. That was out in the middle of a sentence.
I'm sorry.
I said, what's interesting to me?
My bad.
And then close it right now. It's just because when you talk about the things that Dan Orlovsky just talked about, that you need help for CD. I agree. You need a legit other guy as a receiver. And that saying, I think the offensive line will be good. That's where my Cowboy challenge is this offseason is Jerry's got to sign somebody to do some of these things. Because in an NFL draft, if you are banking on getting multiple starters, you're probably wrong. Now, throwing running back in, I think, helps because I can find an NFL starter at running back in any of the first 3 rounds, maybe later. But saying that you need that guy for CD, I agree. Yeah. And that I hope that their offensive line could be good as constructed. I don't love it. I think it needs work. But there's just so many other things that it's hard to prioritize getting that other guy for CD, because then I'm like, okay, but what are you doing at corner? What are you doing at defensive tackle? You're not going to be able to just draft 8 guys and be like, yeah, they're all going to play. That's not how it works.
Yeah, and we're going to talk with our friend
Trevor. That's what they tried to do last year.
I know, and it's not how it works, and it's never how it's worked. If you want to be realistic about the draft, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. You can absolutely find starters in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. Deron Bland, Xavier Woods was a 4-year starter that was in the 6th round. Yeah. Anthony Brown, Dak at the end of 4. It happens. But for the most part, if you're playing the percentages, you should view the draft as a 3 to 4 round thing. Yeah. Everything else is a dart. Yeah. And you're just hoping for the best.
And I think we're going to talk with our friend Trevor Sikkema later about the draft. And I think that's what's interesting when it comes to the 12th overall pick is because we talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, but if you're relying on the draft to get a number 2 wide receiver, the best chance you're going to have to do it is at 12. I don't know if you can get a number 2 wide receiver in the 2nd round that can step in immediately and do it. And I think it'll be fascinating to see if that is a thing they do at 12. But I also like the idea of trading for someone, frankly, a veteran, get someone to kind of pair with him. I like a Cooper Kupp.
You know who I like? You know who I had to check out his contract. You know who I like?
People hate this. I like Tyler Lockett, but go ahead.
I like Garrett Wilson.
Well, we love Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson wants out.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of a number 1. I think you'd have another number 1-ish wide receiver if you got Garrett Wilson in here. But I want Jerry to go bonkers. Here's the thing: we're trading for Myles Garrett and Garrett Wilson. We're signing him to extensions, and just like the Eagles in 2029, when they're going to take some big cap hits, 2030 is going to hurt a little bit. But we're going to throw CD and Garrett Wilson at you, and we're going to throw Myles and Micah at you. Good luck. You want to win a Super Bowl, Jerry? Go get him. Go get him.
We talked to Emmett yesterday. He talked about they need a plan. What's their plan? Well, what we're seeing, just piggybacking on Orlovsky talking about the run game, is they do have a plan. With the O-line coach, with Clayton Adams, with the running back coach, they are showing you that they want to run the ball.
And that
is their plan.
But isn't that
that's why they're doing Jeanty.
Maybe
they're going to re-emphasize the running game.
Ashton Jeanty.
It's right there, big bold letters. We are going to run the ball.
Does it not also just kind of make you sad when it's like, oh, look, they hired these guys, and for an offensive coordinator role, they went and got a line coach, and then they brought in a line coach / OC for a line coach. But the fact that we look at these hires and we're just like, wow, really like the track record, really like him. This is incredible. Doesn't it make you look backwards too and go, what were you doing?
Yeah.
like that we're not doing friends and family now is like, oh, yes! It's like that's what you were supposed to be doing the whole time is trying to have the best guys.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they do now.
Yeah, our friend John Owning pointed out, too, that this is probably the best offensive line environment the Dallas Cowboys have had since Bill Callahan. I agree with that. I think you invested in a raw pick in Tyler Guyton. You got to make the most of it. You got to develop that. Oh, you still got to develop Cooper Beebe a little bit, too, so why not bring a guy that developed Cooper Beebe at Kansas State and can probably help out with Tyler Guyton? I love that hire.
Deuce Vaughn Sizzin, baby.
Deuce Vaughn
Sizzin, baby.
You want a quarterback again?
Oh, of course, man. What lessons did they learn? What lessons did they learn from last year? What did we learn from last year? Micah Parsons talked about the lessons they learned from last year and how they can carry it over for next year. How tough was this season? Since you had a chance to step away, and take it all in.
I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
This season? Why?
Because you got to get humbled in this league. Honestly, it was a humbling going through the losing. It was humbling going through the changes. It was actually humbling and led me to be a better leader, bro. All our superstars was gone. I was still carrying that chip on my shoulder like, we can still win, we can do this. And you know what? That gives belief into the players. I mean, it wasn't just me. It was other players, too, so I'm not going to take all the credit. But, that stuff carries over. You winning games and you're doing things and you're saying they shouldn't be this close to playoff teams or being playoff teams without starters. Like, come on, bro. That shows a lot. So, honestly, you got to have gratitude for the wins and you have gratitude for the losses.
Was that a voicemail you just played?
No.
Are you checking
It was accident.
Oh, it was accident.
You were doing so well.
The words are good. The words are good. They weren't close to anything last year. Like,
he believes it, though.
They weren't close to anything last year. You could have made the postseason, and if you somehow snuck into the postseason, you'd have got run.
Yeah.
You would have got run. But I enjoy hearing his perspective on what that meant. But it's also confusing because I think he just kind of goes stream of consciousness, and it doesn't always all tie together.
No doubt.
Where it's like it's very humbling. But also, we were awesome and almost in the playoffs. Like, wait, was it humbling and you were getting your butt kicked, or are you proud because you were about to make the playoffs? I don't know.
I wish Jesse was here because it all comes back to Micah being a better leader, and I'm a leader.
Oh, Jesse!
I was going to let it go that he said the word leader.
77 yards. It must be a reality.
I was going to let it go that he said the word leader and just not worry about it. Micah Parsons he's an incredible player, and we love it, and that's awesome. And if him being an incredible player helps other people be better players, that's awesome, and I think that does happen.
Yeah, he's trying to say the right things. He wants to say the right things. He knows that's what people want to hear. I want to be a better leader. He's also talked this week about taking less money, wanted to get his contract done.
Said he'd take less to get Myles Garrett here.
Right, wanted to get Myles Garrett here. Of course, Myles will have to take less too.
Yeah, let's do it.
He's trying to say the right thing. Whether you believe him or not, he's trying to say the right thing.
And I've said this from the beginning of this offseason. Call him out on that. Like, hey, just do that offer.
I do like that he's kind of pressuring Jerry this offseason, where he did reiterate at some point yesterday where it was like we don't got time for this. Like, we need to get this done so that we can get going. Like, you want to have everybody at all of the things. You don't want CD not at camp. And maybe that's a lesson I hope Jerry learns, is that does matter. And he pretended a week or two ago, whenever it was, like Jerry was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You see how many catches and yards CD Lamb had? And I'm like, the man himself is on the record as saying not being there hurt him early in the season. Yeah. He said it. Yeah. And Jerry will be like, nah, it doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't matter. He was great and he was awesome. And what are you talking about? Well, I'll just tell you what he told us.
Micah watches other NFL teams, and he sees, hey, when you get your guys done early, it allows you more flexibility in free agency to go get guys that can actually help us get to the ultimate goal. And I think that's why he wants this to happen. And I could see why he would be frustrated if it didn't.
It's fun that the world we exist in now, some of the players, I feel like, have a handle on team building and salary cap and how to use it, and they're kind of looking at their general manager like, hey, come on, man.
Do something.
What's you doing?
Do something.
Do something. Let's do something. Let's make this happen.
All right, Clarence has been trying to stop us from talking draft.
No.
All week.
Not true.
He's been trying to stop us all week, but he can't anymore. one of the best men on the planet, sweetest. Look how handsome he is.
There he is.
Trevor Sikkema from Pro Football Focus is going to join us next, and we are talking draft, and probably Ashton Jeanty, because you guys will make me.
I keep want to say Jack Sikkema. You don't know Jack Sikkema, do you?
I don't
going
know
to break.
We're now in an ad read, okay? I want to give a shout out. We don't have it here with us, but if you go back to our studios, FOCO hooked us up. FOCO is fantastic. They get you anything for your man cave, your she shed. They got awesome pieces everywhere. They can even do clothes. They got jackets, beachwear. They've got overalls. You want to get yourself some Dallas Cowboys overalls?
I really do.
I think you do. You can go get that at FOCO. They've got everything, man. If you're going to a basketball or hockey game, you can show off your love with team-branded friendship bracelets. I saw KG got a friendship bracelet from a diehard last night. That was very cool.
I love that.
I love that. Hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. Use the code DLLS on non-presale items, and you can get, or DLS10, excuse me, for 10% off. You can get your whole thing set up like our set. I like FOCO. I'm a big fan of FOCO.
Yeah, I like FOCO.
I like FOCO.
And I need you to know.
You can go check out FOCO today. Again, DLS10 for 10% off. Check them out.
And shout out to our friends at Sleeper. Our DLLS Cowboys show is powered by Sleeper. They're the reason that we are here on Radio Row. So check out our friends at Sleeper. It's absolutely incredible. I love using the Sleeper app, and if you've ever been around me on a football weekend, you will know that I'm just over there hammering buttons because it's fun. All you're doing is you're testing your ball knowledge a little bit. You look at all of the different numbers, the projected stats, and you say, I think so-and-so is going to have more than the projected numbers. I think so-and-so is going to have less. And the more of those picks that you combine, the more you can win all the way up to 100 times what you put in there. So Sleeper's great. I love it. Our promo code is DLLS Boys. By the way, I'm just going less. I don't even know Jalen Hurts passing yards. I'm going less. I'm just on a campaign that he's not good, and we care about the Cowboys, so I hate the Eagles. Great team, bad quarterback. Less. But yeah, download Sleeper today. Get yourself squared away. Promo code is DLLS Boys. All right, it is time, despite Clarence's wishes. Clarence has been fighting me tooth and nail all week.
You've been fighting.
We're at the Super Bowl.
We got to talk the game.
I talked to
Micah.
Is 3 months. I talked to Emmett. Emmett's going to be here. Draft.
Clarence, breaking news. Every season is draft season, okay?
That's right.
Let's go.
I'd like to welcome in our special guest. This is Trevor Sikkema from Pro Football Focus.
Hello.
And I am a regular listener. I don't have good internet, but I know if I open Spotify, it's on my Spotify, so I will not screw up the name of the NFL Stock Exchange, the NFL Draft Podcast.
I appreciate the commitment to get the brand right. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I listen. I actually listen.
Thank you.
Like, there's a lot of people that do draft content now, and I think that's great, but there's also so much of it that you have to really pick and choose on what are you going to take in. And as somebody who studies the players, I don't want to be skewed too much by other people's opinions.
Sure.
But I will just tell everybody out there, his podcast is great. I love the way that you present, your knowledge of the players, your energy.
Thanks, man.
And you're a handsome man.
Thank
and
you.
I think that's important.
Wow. I appreciate it.
Trevor's a handsome. Look at him.
I appreciate. I got a hat on today, so I'm not like flexing the full hair, but I could.
And it's a melon hat, which means it floats.
That's right.
Oh, dude, these hats are sick. I like free plug. I don't know if I'm like.
I'll give him a free plug too.
I don't know
They
if I'm
sponsored
like,
my YouTube channel once upon a time, so I have
Let's
the white one there.
go.
I bought this one in Hawaii last week.
That's
sweet.
sick. Okay,
Yeah.
one Hawaii
I was at a
trip
brewery.
flex,
Yeah, it
and
was
also melon hat. That's awesome.
All right, you guys want to ask Trevor if we're supposed to take Ashton Jeanty or what?
Or should we play the audio from Ashton Jeanty?
Yeah, we're going to play
Oh, you're gonna play
Ashton
it?
Jeanty out of your first.
Okay, go ahead and rip it. Go ahead and rip it.
Okay.
If you had to describe your game, how would you describe it? Who do you say is it similar to?
Well, everybody as of lately has been saying, I'm a more explosive Emmitt Smith.
Right.
So I'm going to go with that.
Trevor doesn't look like he might not agree. I'm a more explosive version of the all-time leading rusher.
Very casual. I'm think of the most productive running back of all time, and then better.
Yeah.
That's what I am. No, I do love the confidence from Ashton Jeanty, and he's a phenomenal football player. Honestly, I was doing one of those NFL Stock Exchange episodes the other day with Connor Rogers, and we were reviewing Daniel Jeremiah's recent mock draft from NFL.com. We love DJ. DJ's one of the best, and so I love reading his work. He's very plugged in, and so he had Ashton Jeanty going to 12 to the Dallas Cowboys, and Connor was talking about how he works for NBC, and they had Ashton Jeanty on the set, and they got to interview him, and Connor was just like, dude, every team that sits down with Ashton Jeanty is going to love him.
Yeah.
Like every single team. So not only are you going to love the production, you're going to love the athletic ability, you're going to love all that. You're also going to want to invest heavily into the person. And I know that, the topic of conversation here is like, for the Cowboys specifically at 12, do you take a running back in the first round, right? Do you take one at number 12? Honestly, he might not be there. You might not even have the opportunity to have this conversation. Like, he could legitimately be a top 8 type of a player.
Maybe they'll trade up for him, and I'll just quit.
Well,
trade up for
that's another conversation. But I know they need a running back, and they would fill it if they went up and got Ashton Jeanty. All right. Look, I think that there is a great conversation to be had about drafting a running back, how early you use those assets. And I think that the Saquon Barkley conversation is a really good way to encapsulate that, because I know a lot of Giants fans are looking at Saquon Barkley's in the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's like, what are we doing? We gave away Saquon. What? If Saquon signed this exact deal with the New York Giants, he wouldn't have been doing this.
5-12.
He would, right? They would have been 5-12. He's probably worth what? A couple extra wins for this team. Now, long term, maybe if you accelerate the rebuild, like a year from now, 2 years from now, is probably what you're hoping. You're hoping to still get the best of him within this contract, to where he's actually complementing the team. The way that we're seeing the Eagles be able to do with them. But there's no guarantee there, and so for Dallas, the question doesn't become like, okay, well, is the running back position valuable? Is Ashton Jeanty valuable? I think that both of those answers are yes. It's just more valuable for different teams of where they are. So if you think your offense is almost complete, if you think you are a running back away from making this run to the Super Bowl, yeah, you could take him at 12. I wouldn't have any problem with it. But when you look at Dallas, you go, probably need another wide receiver. Probably got to fix the offensive line in a couple of spots. So are they in that position to really want to draft a guy at 12?
You know, we Clarence get mad at some point.
Yeah, I was mad. I was mad. I just think that, going back to the Giants conversation, because I have the same thing about the Henry conversation. Well, Henry would not have done that in Dallas.
Right.
That's not the point to me. The point is, get the best players on your team. He would have helped Dallas. Your question from a Cowboy standpoint is not what he's doing with the Ravens, is what can he do for me? The Cowboys would have been better with Henry on the team. The Cowboys
unequivocally, you're correct.
The Giants would be better with Barkley on the team.
Correct.
He would not be having those, but it's about what's right for me.
Yes.
Okay, so that's my focus. And so when you talk about the running back position and best player available, some people he hasn't been a top 3 talent in the draft period. But top 3
I had to
talent.
adjust my stack because people were like, well, then why aren't you picking him in the mock draft if you have him as the 3rd best player? I was like, that's a great point. Let me adjust for positional value and restack him.
Now you changed it.
Now you have him at 80.
I'm just saying.
I have him at like 7 or 8, I think.
If he's a top 8 pick player in the draft, how do you pass on the best player in the draft when it's your turn to pick?
They probably won't.
I don't hate Ashton Jeanty at 12. I want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not somebody where it's like, even in Dallas' situation where I go, okay, they still need a receiver, they still need to fix some things along the offensive line. I don't hate the idea of them
You also
taking
don't
him
love
at
it, do
number
you?
12.
That's
Well,
where I am. Like, they'll pick him, and I will go, I don't love that, but now that he's on the team, this kicks ass.
You just have other things to do,
Right.
right? Like, that's it. It's not the, okay, we drafted Ashton Jeanty. Offense is good. We're
No.
good to go. If you tell me that we draft Ashton Jeanty and then within the next 2 years you're fixing the offensive line's getting better, and you're adding some other offensive weapons to go along with CD, and you're telling me that obviously Dak is going to be the version of Dak that we have seen from him before, guess what? That's worth it then.
Yeah.
Because then you're probably a top 8, top 7, top 5 offense in the NFL with that kind of thing. So it's just one of those things where you go, the value in the running back, it's more multifaceted than even getting that guy on the roster. So I don't disagree with what you said. The Cowboys are better with Derrick Henry. There's no question about it. It just becomes, are they then going to do what they have to do to actually maximize the contract that they would be giving him within the window of how long he is on the team? Because if they're not, then you're just saying it's a waste of money paying him. But you can
But he didn't get a lot of money. That's one thing. It's not like he got paid.
Well, but how much longer is he going to be this version of Derrick Henry is kind of my question.
Well,
But in theory, we were
does
going
it
for
line
it.
up with Dallas' winning window?
After 12-5, 12-5, and 12-5, I want him to be the best Derrick Henry this year for Mike McCarthy in his last year of his contract.
Yeah.
That was my focus.
I could, a year ago, I could have understood. You're coming off 3 straight 12-5 seasons. So a year ago, I think that they should have signed Derrick Henry. Now, kind of like knowing what we know about how the season played out,
but
you could play hindsight. But no, I'm with you. Derrick Henry should be on the Dallas Cowboys right now. Yeah. There's that part's because again, going back to setting up the winning window, being realistic with where you are about a team building aspect and when your window is open. You should have probably thought the Cowboys window was still wide open last year when free agency was coming around. So if that was the case, then you were in a situation where you go, okay, we're letting Tony Pollard walk, we're replacing him with a guy like Derrick Henry, and here we go, we're good to go. You can't really use the hindsight too much here, but now moving forward, I think it's a little bit of a different conversation.
Well, the dirty little secret is they think this window's still open. Because they're paying Dak at the top of the market. Well, they're paying CD at the top of the market.
If you sign 5 functional free agents, you are. If you have the best pass rusher in football, one of the best receivers in football, Dak plays the way that we hope that he gets back to playing. Like, just that by itself, you can't suck. So if you would actually use free agency, you'd have a chance. Yeah. But will they?
Right. And just what you've done because you've with Shotty, the reason why you kept Shotty is because you didn't want to blow it up. You think you're close. Right. You want to keep the continuity. Right. So they believe they're a few players away from competing.
So that very much makes me think that Ashton Jeanty is absolutely within the realm of possibility for them at 12 or even in your nightmare scenario, maybe a trade-up.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Windows. I'm sorry. Glad you brought up Windows, too, because, Dak Prescott, 4-year contract. CeeDee Lamb's got 4 years left on his contract. Brian Schottenheimer, 4 years on his contract. And it makes me wonder, though, do you have to prioritize getting CeeDee Lamb a running mate, right? And my question for you is 12 the only chance you can get someone who could step in day one and be that running mate?
It's not the deepest wide receiver class like we've seen over the last couple of years, but no, I don't think so. I mean, I think that there's going to be plenty of wide receivers that you'll get on day 2. It's just
that you would be confident in saying he will clearly be our number 2.
It's not as confident as it was the year before, but in the second round where Dallas is picking, Jack Besh could be there, and Jack Besh from TCU, he would get a great running mate for CeeDee Lamb, Are they going to get your boy Emeka Egbuka? No. If they want him, they'll probably want to trade back from 12, get some extra picks, not get too far down the lineup and be able to pick somebody like that. I think a Matthew Golden from Texas, probably not making him to the top of the second round, but Alokai Omaner might from Stanford. That's another player who I think I'm pretty high on when it comes to this wide receiver class. So there's a lot of guys that I think could be contributors for them. You don't have to force wide receiver at 12. And in fact, within this top 15, there's only 2 wide receivers that Egbuka's great. I love Egbuka. But there's only 2 wide receivers because I consider Travis Hunter more of a corner. Yeah. There's only 2 wide receivers that I think about at number 12 for Dallas, and that's Tetro McMillan and Luther Burden III. Now, they'd be great, obviously, but I do think that you can get an impact player, maybe even an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman that they need there at number 12, and you get a wide receiver a little bit later. I still think that's possible here.
So this is Trevor Sikkema. NFL Stock Exchange is the podcast. Pro Football Focus is where he's at. To me, this is a weird draft, and maybe it happens every year where there's something unique about it, and we say they're all weird. But this one's weird because I think that in the top 10, there's 2 guys that every year you'd be like, yes, that's a top 10 guy. And so it's kind of unique in that way. So when I look at the Cowboys at 12, are there position groups that you feel better about the caliber of player that's going to be there? Because I go through with their needs, and I think a lot of them gets weird on you. Yeah. They would love to find a defensive tackle. Yeah. If Mason Graham is gone, I don't see one that I'm like, oh, yeah, I could pick him here. But then the ones I really like probably gone by 44 too, so it gets wonky on me. Is there positions that you feel good about at that spot?
Yeah, because, I think about Walter Nolan. I feel like Walter Nolan would kind of be perfect for them, right?
12 seems early.
12's a little bit early, but it's only early because of mock drafts we see. If you think the guy is the guy, then 12's if we looked at the Cowboys big board, how they put it together, he might be 6.
Just to throw this out there, because this happens to me in the draft all the time. Walter Nolan, Ole Miss defensive tackle. He plays the 3 technique. The things that he can do, most people know the name Mason Graham at Michigan as the top defensive tackle. Yeah. I think there are things Walter Nolan can do at Ole Miss that Mason Graham cannot. Yeah. If one of them is going to have 13 sacks in a season, it's going to be Walter Nolan. The way that he can just forklift people, and Mason Graham is play in, play out, very good player. Yeah. Walter Nolan will do some holy crap stuff.
I'd still tell you that my boy Mason Graham could get 13 sacks out of
those 2. Just the quickness and
but to your point, Nolan is more physically gifted
right.
than Mason Graham is. I mean, Walter Nolan's a former #1 overall recruit, I think, in the recruiting class 3 years ago, and it's because he's like 6'3.5", 305 pounds. I mean, he's just the upper body strength is nuts. I was in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, and like we're not even talking about a one-on-one drill or a team drill. He's just going through bag drills, and you go, all right, that dude's different.
Yeah.
Like you're surrounded by future NFL players. That dude's different.
And then the one-on-one stuff is built for him. It's just like,
100%,
how do I want to whoop you?
Absolutely, and he has all the talent in the world. So it's like, okay, we're sitting here. What we just explained,
right?
We go, yeah, but 12's a little early. 12's only early because of the mock drafts that we've seen so far. 12 could very well, in the grand scheme of things, not be early for Walter Nolan. So that is sort of like where my mind goes with them getting a stud at number 12. But defensive tackle is also pretty deep in this class.
Right.
So if you're this is a little bit of a tricky thing. You want to play the game that is the NFL draft. You want to be smart enough to like, okay, if we're not going to be able to get a guard or a wide receiver that we love at 44, and we are going to be able to get a defensive tackle that we still feel good about, maybe not Walter Nolan, but maybe somebody else, maybe like a TJ Sanders.
Don't go too far down the board to do this, Trevor.
What do you mean?
Like if you're going to say that I'm going to play it by position, you better not be picking your 17th best player over your 9th best player because of that.
It gets difficult to do that. So it's all just part of the game that you have to play. But I also think they have a chance to get a really good interior offensive lineman if they want as well at number 12.
I want to put Kelvin Banks at guard and watch him do Zach Martin stuff.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine with me.
Can he play tackle, though?
Kelvin Banks?
Yeah.
I think so. I think he's got he's kind of an interesting build. I think people look at him and he's right around 6'3". I think that's what he's going to measure.
By the way, this is the University of Texas left tackle.
Yep. And he plays left tackle for them, has the last couple of years. He's going to be one of the younger players in the class, which you love. Got really good athleticism to it, really coordinated footwork, great on the hoof as a puller. He can execute zone blocking plays. He's not the strongest offensive lineman, but I think that with him being so young, you get him a strength and conditioning program at the NFL level, he'll be able to get functionally stronger. He's a little bit smaller of a guy, like I mentioned, right around 6'3", but he has, I think, longer arms than a 6'3" frame. So that's actually what you want. I think a lot of people look at offensive line and they go, well, he's only 6'3". There's not a lot of 6'3" offensive tackles at the NFL level. And you're right.
We don't care about up.
But that's often because, and in fact, if you are built the other way where
you can move better,
you have a lower pad level and you can move better, but your arm length is longer, that's actually exactly what we want here. Yeah. So I think that he is somebody that Dallas at 12, I think Miami at 13, sort of the same scenario where, like, yeah, he could play tackle for you, but you'll probably want him to play guard because he'll be so impactful for you at that spot.
Trevor, one quick question for you. Who's the guy later on in the draft boards and the big boards that you're like, man, I just love this dude?
I love Demetrius Knight, the linebacker from South Carolina. I don't know if this is like Cowboys specific or whatever, although I think that they'll probably have a linebacker need.
His tape is really good, but also on tape, at least the first couple games I watched, I'm like, is he not in shape? Like, he's built different.
He's huge.
He's just a really big guy.
He's just huge.
Yeah.
I think we're just not used to linebackers being that big anymore.
Yeah.
You have a lot of linebackers. Like Carson Schweschinger, for the linebacker from UCLA. Dude, he's like 225.
Yeah.
And we're talking about him maybe being like LB1 in this class. Like, dude, 225. Who plays linebacker at 225? Nobody. Demetrius Knight is
about 250.
He's like 245.
Yeah.
So he's just a giant dude, and he can explode. And his tape is so much fun. He was, where was he first? I can't remember exactly where he was first.
Georgia Tech.
I bet. Georgia Tech. He was at Georgia Tech for 4 years, and then he went over. He didn't really play at Georgia Tech as an off-ball linebacker, and then he moves over to Charlotte, University of Charlotte, stud, and then he goes over to South Carolina, and he's a centerpiece of that defense there, and he graded out really well for us. His trigger downhill is so phenomenal. Like, he's not quite Edgerrin Cooper, because Edgerrin Cooper's more fluid and athletic, a little bit more twitchy.
But he hits people so hard.
But he is that, like, downhill defender like Edgerrin Cooper was when he was at Texas A&M. So that's somebody that just – I probably have a couple, but you asked me, and it's like that. I watched his tape, and I was like, dude, this guy's fun as hell. I love this player. Yeah.
I love it.
It's Trevor Sikkema. The podcast is the NFL Stock Exchange. And there are some, if you go back, they did one a while back where it's like fixing the Dallas Cowboys in an offseason. I love your player ranking ones where you guys do your dueling top whatever at position groups. Great podcast, Pro Football Focus, all of the things. You're a beast. Thank you.
Nice, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
That was awesome.
Handsome guy, too.
Thank you.
And a handsome man.
Thank you.
That's right. All right, final segment from Radio Row is coming up next, and I'm going to check our schedule and see what we're talking about. Oh, good news, I think, for Darren Woodson last night. We got Hall of Fame and Super Bowl things for you next. But first, I want to encourage you to sign up to be a diehard.
Do it.
You go to alldlls.com. And we are still, I believe, running our Radio Row special, which is, normally you're talking about $80 a year, which is a phenomenal deal on its own, but $48 right now. And when you throw in the fact that when you sign up to be a diehard, you get to choose a T-shirt from our merch shop for free, well, you are crushing.
Right there.
Look at that. Right there.
Got that merch on.
It's Friday. Where's yours?
Right there.
Man, I've been wearing it all week. I've been doubling up. I want to let it breathe.
Yeah, don't ask me.
Yeah, when you raw dog, you got to let it breathe. When you raw dog, you got to let it breathe.
I haven't been home in like 12 days, so I don't have anything left that's clean to wear. I had to wear an extra layer just for packing. Yeah. It's not cold outside, just for packing purposes.
I get that.
But sign up at alldlls.com. What you get is access to all of our premium written content on the website. It'll be an ad-free experience for you on the website. You get that free T-shirt from our merch store. You get discounts on both merch and events. And I would imagine that our first event, which was a watch party at Cosm yesterday for Mavericks Celtics, is the reason that the Mavericks won that game.
Nico, you did it!
It's because Nico knew what he was doing all along. We didn't even need AD. Now once we flip AD for somebody else, imagine how good we're going to be. We don't even need Anthony Davis. We didn't need Luka.
There's your boy.
We're cruising. Who's my boy?
There's your boy.
Jameis! Yeah! Yeah! He saw me, threw up a peace sign, and stuck his tongue out. Shout out to Jameis.
Legend.
Yeah, so sign up to be a diehard or else, but that's not a threat. And you get all sorts of badass things that'll happen for you. So that's
Go get him. Go get him.
I'm going to go chase down
busy.
Jameis.
He's busy.
Chase down Jameis. Although I did appreciate, what was he doing this today or last night? He was doing a eating
with the
contest
beignets?
with beignets.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was
Dude.
crab legs, but it wasn't. It was beignets.
Beignets are so good,
He's
man.
so past crab legs.
That dude is.
No, actually, he's doing a
You
bit.
never get past
he's doing a
crab
bit with
legs.
crab leg. He did a commercial with crab.
Yeah.
Did he really?
No, yeah, he's in it. So.
Yeah, you got to embrace.
He's leaning into it. He's leaning.
You got to
into
lean
it.
into the stuff where you got in trouble once upon a time. Can't worry about that. Okay, final segment of the broadcast today, gentlemen. Here we are, the broadcast week. And then
It's
we're
been a
heading
great
home.
week.
It has been a great week. Super Bowl coming up. I saw this morning that maybe some of the Eagle guys are sick, which is good.
Whoa.
I hope that they all have a stomach bug and they struggle to perform in this game.
Stomach bug, huh?
I don't want to say it too loud because our PHLY crew
Chris
is like
has literally
6
got his
feet
starter
away.
jacket on. You know?
Yeah. I hope they get smoked. In the Super Bowl. Last night, Hall of Fame, one of you guys can tell me all four that went in. But I just want to say one of them was Eric Allen, the former defensive back, who I honestly probably don't think of as a Hall of Famer. But
very good.
The one thing that I think is relevant about it is he was the finalist who had been waiting the longest.
Right.
Yep.
And with him going in, that title now moves to Darren Woodson, who should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. And I don't have that take about too many guys. I think normally if you don't get in, it's like, well, if we're debating this, then maybe you shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
I don't understand the Darren Woodson stuff.
No.
I don't get it.
No.
I have no clue how he's not a Hall of Famer when there are people who played the same position that he's better than that are in. And Eric Allen was not a better player than Darren Woodson. I don't get it.
Joe Brad used to always talk about Cowboy bias among the voters because they're a logjam of Cowboys who should be in, should be considered. Took Drew Pearson too long.
They put all the stupid Steelers in from the 70s,
yes,
all
all
of them.
the Steelers in there, almost as many Oilers in as the Cowboys, which makes no sense. But you go back to that Super Bowl team, and Woodson talked about it when he talked with us. You know, as much as the triplets were a part of the foundation for those Super Bowl titles of the 90s, so was that defense, the number one defense. And Woodson wants to be in because he wants to represent those defenders that he played with. You know, and those guys, he should be in. I mean, he was a difference-making player. He was a crucial player.
On maybe the best team of all time.
On the best team of all time, one of the best defenses of all time. People keep talking about the offense. The defense was number one in the league. Darren Woodson should definitely be in front of a lot of safeties, a lot of defensive backs that got in.
Yep.
I mean, there are two Eagles now that got in. Brian, what's the Eagle?
Brian Dawkins was a hell of a player.
He was.
And that's like, I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He was not better
Darren
than Darren
Woodson was
Woodson.
better than Brian Dawkins.
Eric Allen's not better than Darren Woodson.
I love Brian Dawkins. Like, he's one of the only Eagles that even though I actively knew I wasn't supposed to like that team, I loved Brian Dawkins.
Didn't the Packers safety get in as well? I can't even think of his name.
Darren Sharper.
No, another one.
It's a joke.
Darren Sharper.
Darren Sharper, I believe, is currently in trouble.
And again,
actively
and the GM of the 49ers Darren Woods is much better than him.
John Lynch.
Yeah.
Much better than
like
John
the
Lynch.
GM of the 49ers.
Yeah.
The GM, I couldn't think of his name. John Lynch. Darren Woods is much better than John Lynch.
I agree he was better. Lynch was great.
He got a lot of hits.
I just don't get it.
He
Darren Woods
couldn't
is the
play
one
in
guy
today's
that I just
game
don't
because
get it.
all he did was headhunt. But Darren Woods is more versatile. He should be in.
We talked about him with him yesterday too. He was ahead of his time. I mean, frankly, what he did then is what every NFL team would love to have now: a versatile guy that could play safety, could play in the nickel, could play linebacker, could do anything your defense needs. And to your point, you brought this up. That defense was really good.
Yep.
And so he was probably the most versatile piece, the most important piece on a defense. That was excellent.
And piggybacking on Jeff, the good news is he should have a good shot at getting in next year. Darren Woodson made the final 10, okay?
Yeah.
From just talking to people, he made the final 10. So
and next
he was a finalist.
First-year guys aren't great.
I got the list right
there's
here.
only two locks for next year.
Yeah, let me go through the list really quick. Larry Fitzgerald,
lock.
Drew Brees, in.
That's the only two locks.
And then you got Phillip Rivers, Jason Witten.
He'll
Frank
be
Gore,
a Hall of Famer, but maybe not next
Frank
year.
Gore, Julian Edelman, Marquise Pouncey, LaShawn. Now you start getting down the list, right? Exactly.
Right. Dez Bryant's on this list as well. Sean Lee's on this list as well.
And, I'm not homering it up. I can look at that and tell you, Dez Bryant's not a Hall of Famer.
No.
If Dez Bryant had never had any injuries and had some more longevity, Dez for a couple of years there had a case for I'm the best at this in the entire league.
On the pace,
And if you had put up more numbers, then, I think Dez could be a Hall of Famer. Dez is not a Hall of Famer. Darren Woodson is.
When's Witten getting in?
Year or two. He might get in next year. I think he'll get in fairly quickly.
Well, the tight end for the Chargers,
Antonio Gates
got in this year. He had to wait.
Yeah. Did he wait 1 year or 2 years?
He had waited 1 year.
Just one, okay.
And I think that maybe Witten has to wait 1 year.
Year or two?
Maybe 1 year.
But he'll be,
his numbers, where he ranks, he's getting in. It's just a matter of when. Of course, what this also means is we can go to Ring of Honor next year. He's going to the Ring of Honor next year.
Jason Witten?
Jason Witten is going to Ring of Honor next year.
Yeah.
Jerry likes to put guys in the Ring of Honor either to help them with their Hall of Fame candidacy or after they've already gotten in.
Yeah.
With Jason on the ballot, I see Witten going in the Hall of Fame next year.
Save that clip.
Next year.
The Prophet.
I do want to knock out. We've got a super chat that I see over here because I do have good enough internet for that.
Oh, nice.
Michael's in the super chat. Maybe fixing the O-line is with new coaching. Maybe 8 in the box to stop the run is giving CD a running mate. Don't pass on Jeanty if he's there.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean,
I love that.
When he was talking in
he was really good, by the way.
The draft guy, what's his name?
Trevor Sikkema.
Okay, Trevor. Yeah,
yeah. He was talking about what the Cowboys need. Yeah. And saying, if you're not close, you don't need to. What they think they're close.
Right.
They believe they're close. Everything they're doing, with the offensive line coaches, with the offensive coordinator, is all about fixing the running game.
Right.
To help a running back be successful. They're saying, well, don't draft if you're not going to help him be successful. Well, they're trying to do that. They're trying to create an environment.
What if I could be 20% better at left tackle and 10% worse at running back? Would you rather have that? I think that's what the running back thing becomes.
Yeah.
Or the wide receiver or the defense. Yeah.
What are we passing on to do this?
Right.
And would it be better if we went with the running back
and
next?
Good news, though, too.
Got to help him first.
Sorry, I cut you off there. Good news, though, too, is you talk about, hey, maybe that guy you want in the second round might not be there at 44.
Right.
Well, you got a lot of comp picks. So if you want to go into the draft and say, you know what, I'm going to trade a third rounder and a fifth rounder to get swap with your fourth rounder and move up from 40.
Trade for a receiver from Carolina that they don't even want anymore and just give away a mid-round pick.
Yeah, who else is still there?
I don't know. We can figure it out, though. Yeah, we can figure it out.
Just get the best players, guys. I thought we were talking about getting the best players. We're not forcing need.
You're right.
That's how we got in trouble. Get the best players.
Best players, good.
See, isn't draft talk fun?
Positional values
is
always
a thing. Fun. It's the stuff. It's the stuff that it's the craziness. It frustrates me. It's not just about the draft. It's like, well. Henry wouldn't have done what he did in Dallas, so it's good that he come. No, that's not good.
Still want him.
That's not why you try to get the best players on your team. That's all I care about.
But I do think it's a little different when you talk free agency and draft. Yeah. Like free agency, there is no excuse that Derrick Henry wasn't here because I know someone who knows someone. The owner of the Titans, who thought that Derrick Henry was going to be a Cowboy because they knew he wanted to be.
No
the
doubt.
Cowboys didn't even try.
Let's cut to the chase. We talked to his agent yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Cowboys did not even run out the ground ball.
Right.
He did not even give him a call. They did not even say,
right.
They was like, well, we didn't want to talk to the agent because, then we got to talk Dak.
Yeah.
They did not even run out the ground ball.
Yeah.
And the funny
and he knows Henry wanted to be and we're interested in playing for the Cowboys. We talked to the agent yesterday.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it is,
it
better be funny, is even if you check in on Derrick Henry, if you do your due diligence, or you check in on other guys, you don't know what they're going to say back to you. They might be like, hey, Derrick is devoted to Dallas. He loves it there. He wants to come. He'll come for $5 million less than what he went to Baltimore. You never know.
You don't even throw a
so
number
if you don't try,
out there.
you don't know.
He'd have helped you. I bet he'd have helped you out a little bit. It might have been $1 million, whatever. But you also needed him.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody for joining us for our Radio Row experience. Thank you to our friends at Sleeper, our presenting sponsor out here. They took care of us. Chill and Joe and John were monsters.
Shout out to
John was great.
John was great. Shout out to John Anderson.
I didn't get that IPA. I get it when we get back to Dallas.
What happened?
I got to get you an IPA.
You owe the man an IPA?
A double hazy.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being a part of this. It was super fun. We'll be back next week from the cozy confines of DFW. Thank you, Sleeper. Thank you, all of you. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through, so be cool to everybody. We love you. Be easy.
Reverse Oreo.
We all silly like the mayor.